I have in front of me a portable satellite kit available with low-cost shipping from freetv.ie. The dimensions on the dish are 35 centimeters wide and 40 centimeters high. And typical applications of it would be obviously with a camper van, if you're camping, something like that, where you want to bring along a portable satellite dish, and normally a 12-volt set-top box, and it allows you to come along then and view television when you're on holidays, okay? So I'm just giving the retail box that it comes in here, so it gives a pretty accurate overview of what the box looks like. And you can see anyway, that's just as it appeared in the shop, and as you'll receive it if you buy it. And then this here is exactly what you'll receive. So it's the box here. So I'm just going to open this up, and I'm just going to tilt it forward for a second. So you have the dish, which is mainly pre-assembled, the base that we're mounted on, the instructions, a little bracket that's here. There's a few more things hidden underneath the dish. And underneath here is all the componentry that we see there. So this is just a little plastic cover that'll pull up here. And so it's just really, it's a really neat, cool design, okay? So this is the company who are behind this are a company called Megasat, who would be big in the German market, okay? So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to take out the component parts. Now, in this video I'm going to do two things. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to demonstrate the basic assembly of the satellite dish, and then I'm going to show the 4 ways that it can be mounted, of which probably 1 or 2 will be commonly used. The third one less so, and the fourth one almost never, which is mounting it directly off a wall, something like that. If you want to mount a dish directly off a wall, then don't buy a camping kit, just buy a standard 60 centimeter dish office. So this is always a sort of tension fit. So what I need to do here is I just need to pull this out here. I'm going to pull out the first part, the second part, the third. So it's this little plastic lips, we push it down over. This bracket here, this bolt here, our instruction manual, and that's everything. That's every single thing you're going to get in the kit. Now there's a few add-ons I'm going to demonstrate at the end of the video that you would need. So I will just go through that as we go through this. I'm just going to move this out of the way. Okay, so let's just come along and see how much of an assembly we have in the dish here. So we'll see the dish here, the dimensions, again, 35 by 40 centimeters, okay? We have a spirit level here that shows us more or less where the angle is, and it also comes with a little compass which helps us actually align this and find where it is. And just for example, generally it's southeast is where you'd be pointing, about 141 degrees from Ireland, a little bit different from the UK, but it doesn't vary by more than about 2 or 3 degrees in total over the entire Ireland and the UK. Okay, so we come along here, and the elevation, by the way, we need here is about 21 degrees. So what we want to do next is we want to see how we'll just assemble the dish, okay? So the first thing here on the assembly is, this is the vital part here, and what happens here is we just slide this dish in here. Now how we're going to mount it on is this is pre-threaded, so we're just going to have this little tag here, and it'll just allow us to screw in, and we can lock this into position because there's a hole in the base of this. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to slide this through, bit of a base, and we'll just slide it in there. Okay, so that's locked into position. Next thing, we want to have the LMB holder, because obviously we want to have an LMB. Now this doesn't come with an LMB, but there's an option to get an LMB with it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do the following. The LMB holder will need to be held on. So once again, we have pre-threaded bar. I'm going to slide the LMB holder in like this. It goes in really neatly, and then I just lock it into position. I'm just going to use gravity in my favor here as I lock this in. Okay, lock, 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 lock. Okay, and that's basically it. So we get the LMB. I'm just going to demonstrate. We just give the option of a single LMB with it. It has a 40mm neck, so it's a standard one, not the same as Sky, but a universal LMB. And what we have here is just this, we'll push it over, and we'll screw it down here using the 2 screws that are provided. So we're just going to imagine that, I don't think I'm timing the video doing this, but we just screw that down, we have it locked in. And then effectively we have a fully assembled satellite dish. So we're just going to move this out of the way. I'm going to move the compass out of the way, and I'm going to say, right, we have a fully assembled satellite dish here. How will we mount it? Right, well, we go to mount it. What we would do is, the most common way to do it would be something like we have a table and we come along and we have a suction pad on the bottom, so we'll probably wet this. We come along, we have it in this position, and we lock it directly into position. And now it's actually quite steady. And now we have a hole here, a hole there, and we just drop this into position. And what we can do here is we can actually screw directly in to lock this into position here. So once again, I'll just pull this out of position here. And if we just screw this in here, it's just easier to show it this way. That'll screw in and lock it firmly into position. What we can do then is we can just tilt the angle, and then when we have the final adjustment on it, we can just rotate it over and back, and we can lock it firmly into position then when we have it in the position that we want. Okay? So that's the basic design of it. So that's the first way we'd mount it, which would be directly onto the suction pad, and that's probably the most common way to do it. Another way we could possibly mount it would be where we'll actually come along and we have a table and we want to mount it firmly onto the edge of the table, something like that. So what we would do in this stage is we won't be using the suction pad. What we'll be using is we'll be using this bar here. So we'll just push this directly through here. Excuse me now. Push it through. And we're going to be dropping this dish here in through this hole. And there's a hole then for mounting it directly on, allowing us to bolt it in, okay? So I'm just going to hide that for a second. So what we'll do here is, I'm going to come along, I'm going to put this, so we're going to clamp it on here. So we're going to clamp it like this, and we're going to lock it into position using this locking nut here. And basically what we'll be doing is, we'll be sliding this along, locking it into position. It screws in, and now we have it locked to the table. We can drop it off. So all we need is a flat surface like this, and it'll lock it in. So that's option number 2 for mounting it, locking it on the side of the table. The next thing is we could actually come along and we could use these bolts here. I'll just show you another way that we can use this. So they've almost overtaught this, I would say. What we can do here is we can just slide this in here, and what we had a pole sticking directly up. We would slide this through, use the lock nuts to lock it in, it pulls it in, and all of a sudden then, once again, we can drop the dish directly into this hole here like that, and we lock it directly in. Now, I would say a few people will use that particular design. So they're the main ways of doing it. So we'll just, with the suction cup, we'll do it onto the table here as well. And then what we could do finally is we could mount it directly onto the wall. So instead of using this bar here, this is the one that's almost never going to be used. We'll actually just use a screw here, screw it into the wall. And once again, what we can do is we can just drop this directly through the hole and mount it on there. But the thing about it is, if you are going to be mounting it solidly onto a wall like that, why not just use a standard satellite dish? Maybe a 60cm dish would probably work out a bit better for you on the thing. Now, the reason that we're confident that this size of dish will work reasonably well is, you'll notice we'll say that we sort of standardise and look a lot at what's happening with Sky and things like that. So Sky had a standard 60cm dish for the Irish market up to quite recently, or they actually had it for Ireland, Scotland, things like that. But the move has very much been over the last probably 2 years or so that we're using much smaller zone 1 dishes, which are around 40-45 centimetres. And they work perfectly well right across Ireland. So we know that the intensity of the signal coming from the beam is much larger. So if you're planning to use this, will it work in the UK? Definitely anywhere in the UK this will work perfectly for the UK channels. Will it work in Ireland? Almost everywhere this will work here in Ireland, okay? We're here in County Laois. If we tested it outside, we'll be able to get a signal fine on this. Now, the associated products you can possibly buy with it, we obviously see there's a single LMB, or you can go buy a twin or a quad, but it's unlikely people are doing that. Single will probably be plenty. You can buy a satellite meter. This will be definitely handy to have, because every time you move to a new location, you'll need to set it up. So using the compass, having a fixed angle on it, and then just pointing and getting the signal, bolting it in. Very handy thing. There's a video separate on this, how to set it up. And the other thing there is, you'll obviously need to connect it from the dish to the satellite box. So you can buy an installation kit, which we sell. They're quite handy. But probably all you need to buy is a pre-terminated F connector. Now this is a short cable here, but if you look up, we'll say F cables, F connector cables on a pre-terminated, you can actually buy these in a range of lengths from 1.5, I think, out to about 20 meters or so. So you just buy the length. You probably need a 5 or a 10 meter for most applications here, and then you just run it directly back. So overall, we'll say, do I like this kit? Yeah, I think this is quite good. The price point on it's good, the general design on it, and it's practical. It will work. So Obviously, it's smaller than the dishes people generally have in their houses, but that's a little bit of a legacy issue. New dishes going up are only marginally larger than dish, and if it's portable, you want it to be as small as possible. So that's it anyway, an overview of the portable camping satellite kit available directly from freetv.ie.